Hello again, everyone. Our gospel this morning is from the 14th chapter of John. Jesus said to the disciples, "If you love me, you will keep my commandments. And I will ask the Father, and he will give you another advocate to be with you forever. This is the Spirit of truth, whom the world cannot receive because it never sees him nor knows him. You know him because he abides with you, and he will be in you. I will not leave you orphaned. I am coming to you. In a little while the world will no longer see me, but you will see me. Because I live, you also live. On that day you will know that I am in my Father, and you are in me, and I am in you. They who have my commandments and keep them are those who love me, and those who love me will be loved by my Father, and I will love them and reveal myself to them." The Gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, O Christ. Advocate. Now that's an interesting word. What is an advocate? In what context have you heard that word used? Well, maybe from a legal standpoint, an advocate is a type of lawyer. Then there's, in medical, it's a patient advocate. Social, political, probably someone who is a part of an organization that's fighting for property rights and some kind of rights. The word advocate comes from the Latin word advocare, which means to add a voice. Google defines it as a person who publicly supports, recommends, or pleads for a case, policy, or another person's interests. I wonder if that's how we often understand the advocate Jesus is speaking of in today's gospel. That's how I've understood it for a long time, and maybe you have too. This advocate would stand with us before God and try to persuade God to forgive, love, and accept us. This advocate would intercede on our behalf, plead our case, seek a favorable judgment. But what if we've misunderstood the meaning? What if we've gotten it backwards? What if the advocate's role is not to change God's mind about us, but to change our minds about ourselves and each other? The idea that we need an advocate to change God's mind about us just doesn't fit a God who so loved the world. It's contrary to Jesus saying that he came not to condemn the world, but to save it, heal it, and transform it. I came, he says, that you may have life and have it abundantly. This concept surely doesn't seem to reflect the Jesus portrayed by the gospel writers, a Jesus who chose the poor, the broken, the sinful, a Jesus who healed and transformed lives, a Jesus who excluded no one, who assures us there is room for us in his Father's house, a Jesus characterized by love, forgiveness, and welcome. Because if that's who Jesus is, then that's who the Father is as well. Jesus says, "Whoever has seen me has seen the Father." So what if the advocate's role is the opposite of what we often think it is? What if the advocate doesn't represent us before God, but represents God before us? After all, Jesus also says, "The advocate will teach you everything and remind you of all that I have said to you." Things like, "Do not let your hearts be troubled. I am the bread of life. I am the good shepherd. I am the light of the world. Do not be afraid. My peace I give you, my peace I leave with you. I am with you always to the end of the age. Love your neighbor as yourself. Love your enemy. Do not judge so that you may not be judged. Forgive, not 7 times, but I tell you 70 times 7 times. Just as you did to one of the least of these who are members of my family, you did it to me. Where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, I am there among them. Just as I have loved you, you also should love one another. take up your cross and follow me. We all need an advocate. We all need to be reminded, especially when the future is uncertain, life has been turned upside down, and we are afraid or overwhelmed. We need to be reminded when we are angry or frustrated, when we are sad and grieving. We need to be reminded when we are busy, successful, and self-sufficient, when we've lost our way and don't know how to go. We need to be reminded when we feel like an orphan, alone and lonely, on our own, having to look out and fend for ourselves. Let's face the facts. None of us gets through this life alone. We need God's advocacy and reminding. If you want to know where reminding and advocacy are needed, look for places of pain, diminished life, or disconnection. Look for those places in your own life and in the life of others. I will not leave you as orphans, Jesus says. I will ask the Father, and he will give you another advocate. This advocate does not, however, just remind us of what Jesus said. Google can do that. And the advocate is not some formless, invisible, eternal essence floating high above the earth. It is a life lived in and with the Spirit of God. This advocate insists we give existence to Jesus' word and life in our lives through our thoughts, words, and actions. The advocate is felt as a rumbling and a restlessness in our heart, insisting, calling, luring, and soliciting our response in the concrete conditions of life. The advocate shows up every time you and I embody God's life and spirit. You see, we are the ones being sent. We are the ones who make God's life present and tangible. We are the ones who give flesh to Jesus' words. You and I are the advocate filled with the Spirit of God. You ever thought of yourself as God's advocate? Have you ever thought of yourself as the one who gives existence to God's plan for your own life and for the life of another? And what if each one of us started living like that? What might that advocacy look like in your life today? Advocacy always looks like love and affirmed life. When your heart breaks for the pain of the world, when you reach out in compassion, when you weep over another's loss, you are the advocate in that moment. When you offer or seek forgiveness, when you refuse to judge, when mercy rather than condemnation is your way, you are God's advocate. When another encourages and stands beside you, says exactly what you need to hear, or shows up just at the right time, it is then that you are experiencing God's advocacy. When someone listens to your life, celebrates your joys, or cries over your losses, when you love or are loved, the advocate is there. When another speaks a truth or offers guidance that helps you change your life, he or she is advocating on your behalf. When you speak words of hope, hold another's needs and concerns as important as your own, or pray for another, you are their advocate. Advocates sit by the bedside of another. They care for the sick and the dying. They console the bereaved. Wherever there is love, there is the advocate. Wherever there is life and more life, there is the advocate. Life and love are the advocacy of God. Look around. Look at the concrete conditions of your life, relationships, and the world. Look for the places of pain, diminished life, or disconnection. What advocacy is being asked of you? Things to think about. And all God's blessed people say, Amen. Have a wonderful, blessed week.